Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. This is What's the Rate, the show where we discuss the raw and realness of pursuing creative success as an artist in your 20s in New York City. I am your host, Breon Lyons, and today I am here with producer at the National Black Theater and director of live performance, Ava Elizabeth Novak. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm so pleased to have you.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah?
This setup is really cool.
Thanks. Yeah, that's Gotham. That is Gotham. But yeah, welcome to the show. I met Ava on a rooftop on Memorial Day. We were at a cookout, and we just had a very, very good conversation about taking your time, being an artist in your 20s, and coming out of college feeling like you kind of have to accomplish goals on a certain timeline in your creative path. And I just feel like what you said was so valuable, and I really wanted to have that on the show. So we're going to dive in. We're going to go in order, but we're definitely going to hit that because I definitely believe that's important for our viewers. So tell us about you, Ava. Tell us about who you are, coming out of college, what you do now, all the things.
Hi, I'm Ava. I moved to New York in 2017. I went to NYU. I studied directing for theater at Playwrights Horizons downtown. While I was there, I kind of I did all the gigs. I worked at Glossier. I worked as a freelance stage manager. I babysat kids. I worked in restaurants. And then during my senior year, I got a remote position at the National Black Theater as an executive assistant. And it was kind of like a nice transition because I'd been working professionally as a stage manager for a minute. And then I got into this producing gig. And so then by the time I had sort of graduated, I had this sort of nice transition, I think, into working in theater in New York. And I'd also done smaller things, like associate directing, or also random video editing, because also in the pandemic there was a lot of theater artists that were suddenly had to shift their ideas to a video form.
Mm-hmm.
So I would help edit or shoot those things as well, make some performance art or video art kind of stuff, and that was really, really cool. And then I had sort of realized, I was oh, I don't want to be a stage manager on a real professional scale in terms of getting enrolled in the uni, even though I had worked on AEA shows. But after I graduated, I realized that I was oh, I went to school directing. I want to be a director. I think that's the biggest thing of whatever you put your attention to, you can really get into. And luckily at National Black Theater, they allowed me to both learn how to make shows on a bigger scale. Actually, how do you spend money? How do you develop a show? That was probably the most wonderful lesson I probably got at National Black Theater. Was I feel when you're in college, you're oh, I just want to put on the big show. I just want to put on the big show. I want to have, all the lights, all the music, all the just costumes, everything. I want the big production right away. But you have $500, you have $1,000, you have maybe $2,000. And I think MBT was actually here's how you invest in people. Here's how you resource people. Here's how you resource artists. And that you don't have to do the big show immediately right now. It's actually really good to slow down and enjoy development. Yeah. I think that was something that in school sometimes there is that pressure and that rush. And then MBT also allowed me to take on my side gigs, and I really, being in school and living in New York, and also just going outside a lot, just go outside, go see performances, go talk to people. And not even in a networky way, just figure out what you like, enjoy yourself, be a community member. I think a really big part of being an artist is being a good community member. Mm-hmm. And also just through that, suddenly I was just making stuff with my friends. Also working for free sometimes, or working for less money. And then as these opportunities come and you train in your craft, I just think organically, like, the big shows will come. They will come when you're with the right people, when you have the resources, and when you're ready.
Yeah.
I think for a while I thought I was behind, and I wasn't. I just, like, when the big show came, big shows started to come. I was like, okay, cool. Like, so now I get to, like, direct. I found directing these, like, very theatrical sort of, like, concerts. I've never been a musical theater person because I can't sing. I can't sing, so I was never into musical theater growing up, except Dreamgirls. Love Dreamgirls.
I love Dreamgirls.
You know?
Yeah.
So now, like, being able to grow at NBT and be a producer, and then also simultaneously, like, I do direct plays. Hire me to direct your play.
Yeah.
But also these very, like, music-based live performance things as well.
Tell us, like, what does the grind, quote unquote, mean to you, or what does that look like for you?
I hate the grind.
Oh.
I hate the grind.
Well, what is the grind?
Okay, so for me personally, okay, my grind looks like, and it comes in ebbs and flows, right? I think in theater is an industrial complex, and because I am both a, like, fixed arts administrator and a gigging artist, though I don't have as much pressure to gig as much as, like, my other friends do. The grind sometimes looks like, 2 to 3 months straight if you're doing shows back to back of, like, I'm going to wake up at 8:30 a.m. and go to my National Black Theater meetings. And then, like, in the afternoon, I'm going to do all my emails, or I'm going into a rehearsal, or I'm going into tech, whether it's for the show as a producer or shows as an artist, or it's like I'm gonna do my MBT grind and I might have, like, a lighter afternoon, and then I'm in rehearsal, like, 6 to 10 for my freelance gigs, because that's the only time people can rehearse, or, like, cobbling things on the weekend, or if you're running a show. So my week this past week, we're in a cascading season, and I was in the and I'm an associate director on Bowl in a creative capacity, and also sometimes I freelance other things. So, like, in the past couple months, couple weeks, it'd be like 8:30 to 10 a.m. meetings, and then we're in rehearsal like 12 to 10, or, like, I'm taking a day off to go direct a reading, or on the weekends I have to split up my time of, like, okay, I'm gonna be the S95 fire safety person and producer on site for an MBT show, and then my coworkers taking the evening show, and in that evening show I'm going into rehearsal, or I'm running production errands for our next show, and so sometimes you have these, like, random days that are, like, some are 5 and some are 12 and some are 16, but you're working 5, 6, 7 days in a row, and it's very all over the place, and I think it's really exhausting, especially for, like, crew, designers, and directors and producers, because, like, the nice thing about actors and stage managers is that union is so cute. That union, they have very set hours that they work, but it's just the immensity of these productions sometimes necessitate, like, okay, I have to be at the theater. If I'm production managing, I have to be at the theater at 8 or 9 a.m. until 12 to do the production notes call and be on site for that, the designers and the production notes crew are doing, and then, like, actors come in at 12 and we tech from 12 to 9, and then we have a production meeting from 9 to 10, but then there's a fire, so then there's a sidebar from 10 to 11, and then and then you get home at 12. I remember there was one night I was up until, like, 1 a.m. just, like, looking for, like, a wig dryer that we could purchase within the next 2 days, and, like, Amazon couldn't ship. Like, it's just sometimes you just have those insane days. So I hate the grind. We need to shift things. We need longer production periods with shorter days. And then there's some beautiful days where, like, I can throw my phone away and there's, like, 3 hours of meetings and that's all I have for the day.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there's, like, 2 days off. July, nobody's doing anything. July, I won't have a phone for the first 3 weeks of July. Don't call me. Like,
so how do you go about, replenishing your cup?
The best advice I got about that is from my community auntie and props designer master extraordinaire Binu, and he was like, when you do big productions, you have to eat like you're training for a triathlon. Like, you have to eat. You have to nourish yourself because you're going through the days, and even if you're not running a triathlon, you're like lifting lights, you're going upstairs. Even if you're sitting for 3 hours in a dark theater, like, that's attention and you're doing brain work. And then just sleeping, seeing friends. Being sober is a really big one. I like can't party. I'm not in the club. I'd be like, I love my nightlife friends. We're not going to see each other for a month or two because the energy it takes to recover from a night out, I don't have when I'm in a production period.
Mm-hmm. Usually people who are extremely successful and see the fruits of their labor are people who sacrifice, the social life, sometimes sleep, sometimes meals and things like that. And not saying we're throwing that to the side, like health or anything, but I'm just saying, like, I find that as a commonality, you know what I mean, between all these people who are really flourishing, is like, it takes sacrifice. And recently I heard somebody say, he's a gym bro, but he's like very, very like successful and things like that. He was like, people talk about this thing called balance, but it's like, is there really a such thing as balance?
I think there can be. I think you have to start to get into a space of like why you do things, mm-hmm. and then also like figure out your boundaries, right? Mm-hmm, like, mm-hmm. And I'm lucky that I have, shout out Jonathan McCory, I have a boss that can be very flexible with that, mm-hmm. because he knows how deeply I'm committed to the institution and supporting Black artists. Mm-hmm. And so when we were doing like fire safety and stuff, I was like, I need multiple team members to also get this for me, mm-hmm. so that when I am working, doing, all of the other things that I do at MBT from the 9 to 5 realm, and then I have to go from 5:30 to 10 into to just be present at the show, like, that's a day. And so we're gonna have to figure out this schedule, knowing that we're both striking and loading in another show at the same time. Mm-hmm. So I think it's like figuring out like what your schedule and what your boundaries are for that. Mm-hmm. And then also just like truly finding the time. And like my friends are really lovely because they also understand that like our hangs can be rest time, because mm-hmm. they're also grinding just as hard. They're also chasing their dreams just as hard. And I think that's also a big shift that we've had from our early 20s to our like later 20s. Of like early 20s, we were like, oh my God, like, we have our part-time gigs, or maybe even we have our full-time gigs, but we have our early 20s energy, and we're going to go to the club, and we're going to go out, and we're going to. And now my friends were very like, oh, I need to stay in today, or like, can we just watch a movie? Can we do dinner? Can we reschedule? Like, there's so much calm times, and we still go out and we still turn up, but there's like a lot of care and understanding, I think, around that.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I haven't heard that yet, where you like embed your rest into your social time, and like, so that way you don't completely have to like abolish it for the sake of like, mm-hmm. your productive life. Exactly.
Yeah. Like, I have friends who are like, we're gonna go to the beach today and we're gonna just nap on the beach. Whoa, wow. So nice.
Yeah. What was the learning experience that gave you game, and can you share that piece of game with us?
Game?
Yeah, or like that gave you like, oh, okay, I got it.
I got creative production game. Ooh, an experience that got me game. I feel like the ones that you fail build the most game. Honestly, the ones that you're like I think people think, oh, game is like when you're working in the most like glamorous or high profile or with the coolest people. And side note, everybody who's making art is cool in some ways, unless they're an asshole. But like, you know what I mean? Like, all art is cool. It doesn't mean that it has to be super visible or like well funded. But I think game is like the moments where you build your backbone, and it's the moments where you're like, I don't know how to do this. Let me figure it out. Most of art making is figuring out how you do the thing that you don't know how to do, how you make a process. And so I think sorry, I'm just laughing because I was such a mess on this production. So I've had the really privilege and honor to work with Ebony Noel Golden. And Ebony Noel Golden is an incredible like community facilitator, spiritualist, herbalist, live performance maker, ritual maker, writer, just all the things. She is such a very, very, very beautiful soul. And one of my mentors, and I'm so gagged that she still works with me to this day. Working on her productions probably gave me the biggest game in terms of just like, I had never worked in a theatrical jazz aesthetic before. And, you know, jazz, it's spirit, it's improv, it's so many different things. And her work is very site specific too at times. And so I think doing In the Name of the Mother Tree at Double Edge Theater, which is also shout out Double Edge, is such a cool program. They do artist trainings. They're in land back reparations. It's like a massive farm. Like one of my favorite things is Ebony just went up there and she told me, she was like, remember like when we did It No? And she doesn't sound like that, but remember when we did It No? And you know that stream that was running through the farm? Well, the beavers took over and they just let the beavers take over, and now it's a full-on river. Like, that's Double Edge Theater. Like, this is where people are making art.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so it was like figuring out how to, like, I was production stage manager, and this is one of my last production stage manager gigs. But I still love Ebony, and I will work on all her shows. But it was like, okay, we need a ground plan. And we don't have a ground plan. So how do I and I need to figure out where to, one of the stage manager's responsibilities in managing the stage is to figure out all your like props and scenic movements. And this is a giant piece that went around this entire like farm nature thing. And I was like, there's no drawings of anything. Okay, so like, how do I first like make a drawing of this entire farm and all these different sites? Like, we were in a river, we were in a tabernacle, we were in a herb spiral garden, we were in an open field. Like, how do I make these drawings so that then I can track all the props and scenic movements, and then I can also track all the actor blocking? How do I do dance notation for a spiral herb garden?
Yeah.
How and then there's this other things of like, in terms of planning of like, okay, we are going to run the show at these times a day, but just based on like breaks and actor comforts of like, okay, it makes more sense that if we're going to rehearse, we have to rehearse in the daytime, and then at night people want to eat and rest, right? Well, we're doing the show, and the show starts at this point, but we had never really run the show, I think, at that point with the span of sundown, and I think it went longer than we intended. So if it had stayed within the time, we would have ran the show before the sunset. But one of the times we ran the show, the sun had already set. And so now I'm like, oh, the cast is about to get into a river and it's complete darkness.
Yeah.
Like, do we pause the show? Do we coordinate with crew? They have these like giant emergency flashlights. And so in like a second decision, it was like, okay, the decision I've been told is we're going to keep going with the show. This cast is about to enter this river in complete darkness. And so then it was like, okay, this is also a non-equity show.
Oh, wow.
But, and it was fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
We might have to edit some of this, but
it's okay. Yeah.
But it was like these decisions of like, okay, like I'm on headset. Somebody needs to be out there with like blankets and towels, and we're gonna put all these flashlights so they could see. And these flashlights might as well have been like giant outdoor floodlights. Like, they were huge, so it was safe. And they got in, and even it being in June, it was a stream, so the temperature was like bath water the entire time. And it was just one of those things where you just had to keep going. And it was also one of those things where like we were staying on site. I was away from home. There'd be moments I'd be stressed out, I'd be crying, I'd be like, oh my God. And it wasn't even anything that like it was bad or like we were being overworked. We had plenty of like, but it was just something that just asked me to go past my ego in terms of being like, okay, like, I don't know how to do this. I've never done this before. Like, I know these are the things I have to do as a stage manager. I have to take blocking, but like, I've never taken blocking in a river. Like, how do I do this? Those are the moments that you build game. Those are the moments where you feel like you're failing. Those are the moments where like things aren't as smooth, you know what I mean, as you want them to be.
Yeah.
And just dealing with like the dynamics of like having to be also like a young person managing people who are way older than you.
Yeah.
There's other shows I've been on where like designers wouldn't respect me as a stage manager until like something happened. Somebody got injured or like something didn't work, and you have to earn, and sometimes building game is earning the respect of people who don't respect you. And unfortunately, that's just like a thing. And also just sitting with yourself and knowing yourself. I've had like designers yell at me for no reason just because they're frustrated and like later apologize. I think that builds a lot of game, is just like letting certain things like fall off of you and learning ways to not tolerate disrespect.
That's what I was gonna say. Get into that. Like, how do you go about navigating that?
And sometimes it's just like, so I instituted at one point like a values document at the National Black Theater, which they had, but like sort of like figuring out how do we like carry this back through, because I was working with a mentor who had taught me that very thing on her show. And so like in school, she had been my teacher, shout out Nikki Douglas, and I was like, oh my God, you had taught me before we do a show we have a values document. And we were working in certain like producing bodies that just were not getting along, and I was like, okay, let's reinstate this, let's figure this out. And so when those crunchy moments come, it's like, okay, this is not in our values. You're not going to talk to me this way. This is not how we move through conflict. Like, let's talk about the issue of that this is an issue. If there's in separating the issues of like what's an issue between you and me as people and what's an issue of the production.
Right.
Because we're all on the same team for the production.
Right.
And if anything does happen between like an issue between me and you as a person, like we should talk about that. Now, on shows that at this point I cannot disclose, have I broken up like fights? Absolutely. I've gotten between two actors who are about to go to fisticuffs because it was something that was that personal.
Wow.
Yeah. I was working on a show also, one of my last shows as a production stage manager. And there is an older actress who kept misgendering another actor. And I'd politely corrected her, right? I'd politely corrected her. I was like, oh, this actor uses these pronouns. And the older actress was like, oh, well, you know, I'm just who I am, and, you know, like, I'm just old, and like back in my day, da 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 da. And I was like, okay, but you know, pronouns are a sign of respect. And she did not like that. She did not like that I had said that to her. And she later went, and then I left the room. It was silence. And I was like, okay, I guess that's the end of the conversation.
Right.
I had left. We'd finished our run. And then the director comes up to me and was like, hey, like, you know, this actress felt like you were scolding her. She's your senior. Can you please sit down and talk to her? And it was a moment for me where I wanted to be like, girl, fuck her. Like, I thought I was being polite.
Right, because what else is there to say?
You know? And so I sat down, and she's like, you know, you should honor your elders. Like, how dare you try to, like, school me or scold me? Like, I don't know what I'm talking about, or, like, I'm not smart, or, like, I'm not with it anymore because I'm old. And that and that's also a very big game building moment for me, where I have to be like, okay, like maybe it was my tone, maybe it was the way that I like had said it. I'm a Sagittarius. I'm so sorry. Like things do not. I lack tact sometimes. It's my biggest weakness. And so we sat down, and I really had to understand how the way that I said what I said impacted her. And we actually grew, and now like we have I see this actress every now and then, and we have like a great working relationship. And she has changed too, to be more, because what I sat down and said was like, oh, you know, I'm sorry. I understand my impact is not my intent. You know, I realized that how I said it made it seem like that you were not, it made it seem like that you didn't have the capacity, or that you were being like blatantly ignorant. But what I meant by that is like, you are smart. You are a smart person. You are with the times. You have knowledge and wisdom. And I think that you do have the capacity to understand this thing about people. You know what I mean? It's no different than remembering their name.
Right.
And I'm not saying this to you because you're stupid. I'm saying it to you because I think that you have the capacity to understand people in this fullness, because you are such a wise person.
Right.
And that really started to build a bridge. And she was like, okay, like, it wasn't like I think she felt like I had been like scolding her like a child. And I was like, no, I was actually trying to come to you as an adult and somebody who is wise. And you have to watch yourself in that of like figuring out, okay, like how do I keep myself together and calm so that I'm not irritable and so that I'm able to communicate in the best pathways possible.
Yeah. Because we're all here for the art at the end of the day.
You know?
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And if we're going to be spending 12 hours a day for the next 3 weeks, you know what I mean? We should figure out how to like continue to maintain like a good dynamic in that way.
What does community mean to you? And does it align with the type of community that you currently have?
Absolutely. I think like it definitely aligns. I think I've been very blessed with the community, the Black queer arts community of New York City, which is so broad. There's so many different like community means to me is showing up. Just show up. Showing up, and also like sometimes showing up without expecting something. And showing up just to enjoy each other. Point blank. Community is showing up and showing up just to enjoy each other. Because I think the work, like there's community in like I feel like a very true sense, and then there's like the work networking aspects, and sometimes they do coalesce. But if we're just talking about like community outside of work, just like community is like that person who is like a lawyer or a doctor and has nothing to do with the arts, and it's just like, I just want to see a play today. I've seen a play, and it's people who've never heard of your play. I'm saying plays because it's like what I work in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's people who just decided that they wanted to like see some weird shit in theater and have only watched plays on Broadway. Like that's community. Those are people who just show up to enjoy things. And I think that's really important. And I think it like kills competition. I don't think art needs competition because we're already like, because of capitalism, have to script for resources. Like, so just show up. Go to your friend's show, buy a ticket. If you really can't afford it, yes, I understand. Ask for lists, ask for comps. You know what I mean? If you can, buy that fucking ticket. Buy most controversial take. Buy your fucking friends' tickets today.
Yeah.
Pay them. People will hire me to do things, but nobody wants to give me money for my own projects. That's totally fine. We're gonna get better at the grant writing. And so like sometimes I feel bad because I can't provide those opportunities for my friends to also get paid. And I'm like, but I will buy that ticket. You know what I mean? I'll buy that ticket. I'll show up. I'll cook you dinner because it's just about the enjoyment of the thing. Sometimes it's not about always like the career building. Just show up.
You know, I really like that too, because I think we could go into like just like exchanges, right? Like it doesn't have to be like money or like buying things, but like you said, like I might not be able to buy this, but I could cook you dinner. I might not be able to purchase this or give you this, but I can give you this. You know what I mean? And it turns into an energy exchange.
Exactly. Know? And it can be reciprocal. Like, it doesn't have to be a tit for tat or one for one, right? Like, there's friends where I'm like, I would give you the world because you made me giggle when I was sad that one day. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be like, and also, like, the lovely thing about being an artist is, like, we make things about life. And so just being able to sit and be present and watch life unfold as the basis of community making, I think is really important. And then like, yeah, I think I'm somebody who gets a lot of joy out of like, I think giving is a creative act. I think cultivating things is a creative act. I think giving power to other people is a creative act. I think having power collectively is a creative act. Nisi Aya, who's a wonderful, wonderful writer, dramaturg, creator, mastermind, once broke down with me like the different ways that power is held. Power to the people. And like you can take power from people, you can hold power over people, but it's okay to have power if you're giving it to other people. It's okay to have power if you're using it collectively, if you are empowering other people. And I think that is also the basis of what community works for, like means to me, is like, how do we resource other people? How do we, if we're like, you know, they're showing up, there's resourcing other people, deep listening, and I have to get better at this because, as you can see, I'm a yapper. I'm a real yapper over here. Deep listening, huge part of community. Sometimes people just want to be listened to and witnessed.
What would, quote unquote, making it look like on your terms and not the industry?
Okay, so my problem with V is that I already felt like I made it. I'm not rich. I am not famous. I already feel like I made it, and that's the problem. And so now I have to literally rethink about what that is. So when I was a teeny bopper, I was like, I would like to grow up, and I would like to work at a theater, and I would like to put on plays, and I would like to afford to live by myself, like afford to live on my own. And that was it. Like that was literally it. And sorry, I'm like yelling into the mic. I'm beaming because literally this past year I was like, where do we go from here? Let's start dreaming again.
Wow, what a beautiful space to be in too.
Truly,
that's such a blessing.
The first moment, there was like 3 distinct moments that I was like, oh my God, there was one was like, we're making it. There was one was like, oh my God, did we make it? And then there's the third one was like, oh my God, we made it. Like, mama, we made it. The first one was, I was working with Nazareth Hassan. Also, shout out Naz. Naz has been one of my first supporters always. I was Naz's AD and production stage manager for a while. Even in college, like my first like biggest show was Naz's like senior project. And we just did Bowl, which was so crazy. But actually it was Untitled 1 through 5, and it was like a shed open call. And I was like, I felt like I was like, I'm making it. Like this is my like, I'm making it as like a professional production stage manager. I'm with this incredible cast of actors, incredible leaders, Naz and Talia. And like we're at the motherfucking shed. We're doing Black experimental theater at the motherfucking shed. And I was like 22, I think, and I was like, oh my God, like this is so crazy. And it was just so beautiful. And I was like, okay, like this is, because I just never made anything at that scale. And then the second one where I was like, oh my God, we made it, and was with my dear friend, the like platonic creative soulmate, love of my life, Miss Naladuma Lamb, Ken, Big Lil Lamb. I love her. We also just like friends since school. And was Cape was incredible. Everybody give all your money to Nala. Everybody give all your platforms. Just give it to her, please. She deserves every single universe, everything. It was just such a love work. And it was the first time that she was like, I want you to like co-write and co-direct this thing with me. And that was so, I'm literally getting emotional thinking about this. I'm literally getting emotional thinking about this. Of like, it was like the first time that I got to use like all of my skills, like at its, you know what I mean? Like final form, kind of like, you haven't even seen my final form. And it was her work. Like, it was so much her show, but it was just so beautiful to have somebody who like really was like, oh, I trust you wholly and completely to hold this thing with me. And it was beautiful. And it was everything that I had ever dreamed of making before I could even like articulate it, of like, yes, I wanted movement and I wanted sound and I wanted these lights. It's probably the most beautifully light design show that I've ever designed. I'm like low-key a lighting designer, but not really, because I have no idea how Vectorworks works. But I will program the shit out of some lights.
Come on.
And talking about game making, like Ebony's pieces helped me, because we were like, what is this thing? And I finally had a framework for theatrical jazz. Wow. And then also like, then we made it, and it was gorgeous. And also that was talking about community. That show went on for one night, and the Black queen, and this is a testament to Nala too, and her community and her ability to like foster community and just being such a wonderful artist and deeply generous and loving friend. And her vision is amazing. Literally, like, when I tell you, my friend was like, I've never seen so many Black young queer people in the theater before. Wow. And it was Pride weekend, It was at shout out Abrams Art Center is also my favorite theater in all of New York. Shout out Abrams Art Center. Everybody give their money to Abrams Art Center. Literally, it was funny because all these other big like pride events like Gush and Dick Appointment and stuff were like for some reason also happening in Manhattan. So the play became this sort of like pre-show community event before everybody went off to the club. We had DJs like running after the show, or you and me being like, oh, I can't, but because I have my set, but like posting about it. It was just such a like, I just felt so loved and held. And I remember I was just sobbing at the end of the show, and it was just beautiful. And that was like, I was like, oh, like I've like so many friends, so many people have just come to support the work. It was crowdfunded too. We had raised money like to do a lot of it. Nala also had like a lot of grants too. But it was just one of those moments where I could really feel community coalesce around this show and to like make it happen in all these different ways. And it was just so beautiful. And that's when I was like, oh, we made it. And then I had started dreaming, right? I had started dreaming about where we went next. And I had went to see one of my like favorite artists, Kia, perform in Solange's Eldorado Ballroom at Brooklyn Academy of Music. Oh, wow. And I remember, no shade, Solange, no shade, but I remember being like, where it just felt like all the acts were disparate, very disparate. Like it felt like a bill of touring artists, but like not a cohesive show.
Oh, okay.
And everybody still slayed. Everybody still slayed that night. Everybody still slayed. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. But I remember walking away thinking, I was like, I want to do a Kia show. I want to do a theatrical show with Kia. Like, I want to know what that, and I remember just like thinking about that. And I hadn't known Kia personally at that point. Like literally, like I was just a community member and fan. Like that was it. And then literally that fall, I get an email from Abrams Art Center asking if I wanted to be Kia's like creative partner, like dramaturg, sort of like director, something with this show called Milk Thought. And that was when my mind was so blown. I was like, and I still need to post about the show. It takes me a year to post about any big show that I've done because of the fucking grind. I don't have time to like process anything that I've ever made. That was like, I'm working with Kia. I'm never going to fail. I'm working with Kia. I'm never going to fail. And it was like, and it wasn't like, I don't have any conception of like how like big Kia is of an artist. I just know that like this is some like, as when I was a fan, I was like, I just know that like I really love and support this artist, and that my community really loves and supports this artist, and that they are a master of what she does, like an incredible master, literally one of the smartest people I know. And then we did Milk Thought, and I was like, another moment of just using every single skill set and trust, and somebody who I didn't have like a long-standing friendship before, and just trusted me so deeply. And that was like, that's the biggest thing. Community, another thing. What is community? Trust. Yeah. It's moving at the speed of trust. And that show had so many like that show was in development basically for like a year, even though it was only supposed to be a year and then put up. But due to an injury, like we had another year to do it. And that was like a blessing in disguise. And it was just one of those moments where like, then I was also working with my best friend, Miss Nala Duma Lamb, who slayed. And later I was like, you also are co-directing this way, because the way that we just work so seamlessly. And just like, and again, that's something I learned both from Kia and Nala so deeply, is just deep listening and trust. And like, I don't know how, I do know how we did it. I also don't know how we did it, but it was just one of those like, I'm so grateful. I am so grateful. I'm so grateful. I felt like I had made it. I had like worked with an artist who I had like really, really admired for a long time, and like, and thought I would have to be 35, 40 with all these years of experience and the fucking, I don't know, master's degree. I just didn't, but then again, when you're ready, the opportunities will come. And it turned out better than I could have ever hoped, because the main goal of that project was like, did Kia like it? I don't care who thought what about Milk Thought. As long as Kia liked it, we did it.
Yeah.
And Kia liked the show. And so Kia loved the show because it is Kia's show.
Yeah.
And Kia is just an incredible performer and artist and musician. But I was like, we did it. We made it. Like, we made it. Like, we made it. Like, we did it.
As cliche as it sounds, but it's just so refreshing to like hear this narrative because I could tell this comes from your spirit, you know?
It does. Which is why I like having a day job. Like, I could not be, like, I like having a day job as a producer, even though producing is stupid and infuriating, which is also why I do it. So other actors don't have to go through the stupid and infuriating things that is working with producers. But I'm not a gigging director because I can't gig and do that if I don't love the show. Like, I can't give myself if I have to gig to survive. That's why I have a day job.
What are you doing now to get you to where you want to be in 5 years?
So in 5 years, I need to have my own apartment. I need to save some money. And there's like three pieces of work that I want to like put up. So I want, as much as I love doing like co-directing, and I need to like put up something that I've written, even though I'm not a writer. But so now it's just like, really, it's saving money for stability, but it's really like, I think I need to stop working on things so I can actually like flesh out these projects and develop them. So it's a lot of slowing down, to slow down so we can speed up later.
So what was a no that you were given that you didn't know that you needed?
Oh, it's a no that I was given that I didn't know that I needed. Okay. There is a really incredible music artist named Lorraine James, who, shout out to my friend Kayuna, who Kayuna had recommended me to work in a similar capacity that I was working with Nala and Kia to like Lorraine James, who was super cool. I don't know this person like well, but like, they had messaged me on Twitter asking that, and like, can you send some work samples? And at that time, I had not done Cape, I had not done Milk Thought, and I was like in communication with somebody who was not in my like immediate community. So also like there was nothing that they had seen or known about me working for it to speak to itself. And so I sent the absolute worst work samples. They weren't bad, like they were things that I had made, but it just did not pertain. And that's the other thing. And I just like didn't get the gig, and that's totally fine. And it's because I was like unprepared. I didn't archive anything, and I wasn't that really good at like putting myself out there as an artist yet. And to this day, you know, hey, Lorraine James, thank you for that, because I am really thinking about why I need to process the shows that I make and get really good work samples. And so that was like one of the no's that I really was like, oh, like, as much as I'm like, oh, community and like fuck networking, like there are some things, unfortunately, that you do have to do as an artist, like archiving your work and like really, and it is good for your own artist process too, to like look back and be like, what am I proud of? What are the bits that I want to showcase of like, this is the thing that I made, and how do you talk about yourself as an artist? Like, I hate writing artist bios. It is one of the like I literally hate it. I hate it so much. But there's things that you have to do and be able to articulate yourself as an artist.
I wish they taught us more about that at school.
Yeah.
You know, like at NYU.
That's the gag. I'm like, why did nobody, like, maybe I'm about to call Playwrights Horizons Theater School and be like, me and the students in real time, it's a class where me and them in real time are going to learn about how we archive our work.
Yeah, and how to present yourself, you know what I mean? How to talk about what you do, the artist bio and things like that, and like create this creative excerpt about like who you are. Literally.
And it should be, because like, honestly, like a website domain is like what, like $100 for a year? Your freshman year, so hey arts programs, you're there for your freshman students, you should at the end of their year make them make a website and make them practice archiving their work, and they can have it all 4 years and they can do whatever, but just put them in the practice of it, make them go take production photos for each other, like make it part of the curriculum, please. Yeah.
We kind of had that at Stone Street. We had to make a website, but I mean, it wasn't until my senior year that we actually like put that together. But it would have been useful if we started that like freshman year, and then they taught us the foundations of how to build that, and then we could have just spent all of college building that. By the time you graduate, you have a whole portfolio.
Exactly.
And you have a whole
They like kind of teach you how to make a creative deck a little bit. They tell you how to make a production drive, but they don't tell you how to make a portfolio.
Yeah. So on this show, we do this thing called What's the Rate, where you rate these topics 1 through 10. Instead of revealing your rate, you don't have to reveal your rate if you're not comfortable. Nobody has yet. You don't have to. But instead, you'll rate these 1 through 10, okay? So work for exposure.
I'm going to say a 5 because, like, if it is your best friend, or not even your best friend, if it is like a stranger who is a good person, who has no money or resources, and that you really believe in their vision and it's going to bring you joy, 100% do it. If it is a giant brand that has millions of dollars and is that, hell no. So I give it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah. Why you got a budget for everybody but not for me? Okay?
Right, that part.
I heard, there's this one photographer, I went to his panel.
Yeah.
He was like, they have the budget for don't be the person that's the least paid on the set. You know what I mean? Like, don't ever, because if it's like a big brand like Sephora, L'Oreal, like, you know what I mean? Like,
this also goes for the content that you've already created, right? Like, if you've made something and somebody's like, oh, we want to use this for marketing purposes, and they only want to give you like X amount of dollars, know that like that X amount of dollars they can give you, they probably are going to make 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 times that.
Yeah.
Don't, just know.
Yeah. All right. Always saying yes.
I would rate that a 6.5 out of 10. When you have time, hell yeah. When you are struggling with balance, hell no.
Contracts.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. We love contracts on this show.
10 out of 10. You know how many artist disputes, and I'm not saying just like ironclad contracts that you can get out of, 10 out of 10, because I have like a clause about breaking. Because the thing about contracts is like, I've seen so many artistic relationships fall apart, and not because it needs to be like a legal contract, but just like a set of like, this is what you're gonna do, this is what I'm gonna do, here's how we're gonna share responsibilities together, here's how people are gonna get paid. And also part of that contract is that values document, part of the like a social contract. Here's how we work through things in the room. Because that's not written out for everybody's input and agreed upon. Here's how people are credited. I've seen so many artists fall out, friendships fall out over the pettiest disputes because they didn't have like a good producer, or they just didn't have the resources or bandwidth to just make a proper contract.
Fake it till you make it.
10 out of 10. So many skills in art is like, you just have to do it to figure it out. You can fake it if you make it, if you build in the time to figure out how to do the thing. So I was working on Bowl with Nazareth. I was the associate director, and I learned a lot from that process, and I learned a lot about that from Naz, as there was so many, and I had to check myself too, because there were so many things of like, oh, we need to do this, or we need to watch out for this, and Naz would be like, yes, we do need to do those things, but not right now. Like, building in the time to see how the project unfolds, especially when like Bowl running through the 22nd, I don't know when this airs, but there's so many elements, from like skateboarding, blood and guts, intimacy on stage, violence on stage, rapping. There were so many elements of like, how do we tech this show? How do we lay out the framework so things can grow and expand? And also, and I credit Naz of like, for somebody they're both the director and playwright, they allowed their script to be a breathing organism without having to do a bunch of jazz, which is super annoying while you're mid-process, and also not make it so rigid. So like, sometimes even if you don't know, having the time and space to fake it till you make it is good, because it allows you to move slow, lean into your collaborators, and move at the speed of trust.
All right, working your way up.
I would say a 7 out of 10. I think if you are 7 out of 10. You need to be a good leader, you need to understand like the amount of effort and labor and impact that other people do to make the thing happen. You know what I mean? So that if you are delegating, managing, or just listening, you actually understand. And so working your way up helps you understand the various different things that allow something to happen. Also, when you do get power, you're not an asshole about it. Hopefully, because you worked your way up. Unless you worked your way up in a way that's like nasty and disrespectful and terrible. The other thing about that is like the nice thing about working your way up is you allow yourself to see how people invest into you to get to the next level. And I'm not just saying like invest in money, but like invest times and space for you to fail, right? Like sometimes you have to start from the bottom. Like you can't just start. I don't believe really in hierarchy fully like that, like in making art. But like sometimes you have to start in one place before you get to another so that you can fail. And you have to be with people who are going to allow you to fail to move to those different positions and invest in your failures in that way.
Shadowing / internships.
Internships, hell no. Shadowing, maybe. I would give that a 3 out of 10.
All right, last one is cold emailing.
That's hard for me to say because I've never had to send a cold email by myself. Like I've cold email artists on the behalf of a giant institution. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I've never cold emailed anybody to work with them. And I think I don't believe in that. I think like if you want to work with somebody, like it should be a warm email and that like you've been a community member. You've shown up to their shows. You've had a conversation organically. It's not like you go to somebody's show and you're like, can I work with you? Know what I mean? Maybe if y'all have a good vibe, but you know what I mean? Like I don't really believe in just, I think you just have to be a community member.
Thank you, Ava, for being on the show. And thank y'all so much for tuning into What's the Rate? I'm your host, Breon Lyons, and we'll catch you on the next episode.